Hi Spice Fam, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I would be showing you how I make Grenadian spice cake in honor of Grenada's independence coming up on the 7th of February, and I will be doing it in the colors of our flag. So if you're interested, keep watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, put on your post notification bell so you don't miss an upload. Let's get into this video. I have my margarine and I'm going to add it to my stand mixer as well as the sugar, and you want to make sure that all your ingredients are at room temperature, and we are going to beat it on low speed until it's nice and fluffy or light and fluffy. So be sure to also scrape down the sides of your bowl while the creaming process is happening. So I'm starting off with adding in my cinnamon and clove, followed by my grated nutmeg and my ground ginger, as well as my baking powder, sorry, and some salt to help balance off the flavors of the cake. Also, some tonka bean and a little bit of mace powder can be added as well, but I did not have any on hand, so I did not add them in at the pointed moment. So once you have add all the spices and the salt and the baking powder to the flour, give that a really good mix and set aside until you're ready to use. So I am checking on the butter and sugar and it's ready. Next, I'm going in with my egg one at a time. So after each addition of your eggs, you want to ensure that you mix it really well before adding in the others. So usually we would add in lime zest, but I didn't have any, so I'm adding in some vanilla extract. And you want to give that a really good mix once you have added that in. Next, I'm going in with my flour and I'm just adding it in 1/3 cups. Yeah, so we are going to alternate with our buttermilk. I'm going to give that a quick mix just on high speed for about just under 1 minute or so, just to make sure that everything is combined. And then I'm going to stop my mixer, and as you can see here, I'm just taking my spatula and simply folding it so that any flour that may not have been properly mixed into the batter, I would basically mix it in, because as I said, we will be adding in coloring or food gel coloring to the mixture, and so you don't want to overmix your batter. Place them into some smaller bowls to help mix in my color. Now make sure that you measure out your batter properly, because I didn't. I ended up having a little bit too much of one of the colors, but that's okay. So our colors, or the colors of our flag in Grenada, is red, green and yellow. So that is what I would be using to add to my color, sorry, to my batter. What am I saying? Yeah, so as I said, here are my bowls and I'm just going to actually eyeball it. Once I would have done that, I'm next applying my food gel. I'm using the food gel coloring because it's a much thicker consistency, and because of that, it does not change the consistency of the batter, meaning it wouldn't make it watery or anything. So once I add in all of my colors, I did mix it in really well, and this is what they look like. Look how vibrant the colors are. So here I have my lightly greased and floured pan, and you want to make sure that you do that. You don't want to skip that step, or else you will be in trouble. Your cake will stick to the pan and that would not be good. So I'm starting off by adding in some of that red to the side, and I'm just going to put them side by side and continue until all of that is done. Now, Grenadian spice cake is a wonderful cake that is made of different spices. In our country, we are known for plenty spices, and once you add the flavors together, and of course it's all about the right measurement, it is a really wonderful cake. So I did finish, and this is what it looked like. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I did not properly measure out my batter, so I had a little bit more of the green than the other two colors, but that's okay. So here it is. I just simply try to create a kind of swirl, and now I'm just tapping it really well to ensure that all of the air bubbles comes out. Next, we are going to place it into a preheated oven for about 50 minutes, and again That depends on your oven. So after that time, I did check it and it's ready. So this is what it's looking like. You can see the colors are there and it's very hot. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to allow it to cool completely, and I will come back to show you what it looks like. So once the the cake has been cooled, I did cut it into smaller pieces, and you can, well, a couple pieces as you can see here. And these are the colors of our Grenadian flag, and it looks so good, and the cake itself tasted really delicious. Here I have some peanut, and I am not going to use all of it. I'm just going to use about half of it. So we are going to prep it first by patching the nuts. Now, if the option is available to buy it pre-patched or patched already, sorry, I should say, then you can go right ahead and do that. To a baking sheet, I'm just adding in some of that peanuts. And I will leave a link in the description box below with the correct measurements and the ingredients that I used. Next, I'm just going to spread it across the pan so it's evenly distributed. And we are going to place it into a preheated oven at 300 degrees so that it patches. I think I left it there for roughly 2 hours or so. So once it's done, I will remove it. As you can see here, it is done. And as I said, I'm using a lot of ginger today. I like mine to be very gingery. Also, we will be needing some sugar, and I'm using white today, but brown can be used as well. And we also need some water. So we're going to set that aside and check on our nuts. So it is ready, and I am just simply using my hands to rub it a bit to get rid of the shells more easily. And I will continue to do that, and once it's done, I will come back to show you. So this is what it looks like all done. As you can see here, it's clean, and of course you want to look out for those extra shells that may be in between, so you want to give it another go. So I just place it back onto the pan, and I'm just going to sift through it a little bit to see if there was any extra shells in between, and there were. And then I'm going to set that aside and move on. To my skillet, which is on medium-high heat, I am adding in the sugar because we are going to make the syrup that will go over the peanut. Next, I'm adding in the water, followed by our ginger. Once I add that in, I'm just going to give it a quick whisk or stir, and then I'm going to allow it to come to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, I will come back to show you the next step. So now that it's boiling, I'm going to continue to stir just to ensure that all the sugar is melted, and then we are going to reduce the heat. So we're going to reduce the heat and allow it to simmer for a few minutes. I will, as I said, leave the link in the description box below that will give you all of these details. So once it's finished, I will come back to show you. So this is what it looks like, and it's actually ready. As you can see here, it has thickened some, and of course it's time for us to remove it from the heat. So I'm going to take it off the heat and quickly work with it in terms of pouring it over the peanuts, simply because it tends to get hard really fast. So once I would have added the syrup over the peanuts, I am going to quickly stir it until everything is well combined, or all the peanuts are coated in that wonderful delicious syrup. Alright, so once that is done, I'm next going to pour it onto a pan. Alright, so I'm just going to place it onto the pan. I'm just using half of the pan, and I'm going to spread it out a little bit so that when it dries, I can easily break it apart into smaller particles, or smaller pieces, I should say, smaller pieces, yes. Alright, so I'm just patting it in there, and of course I also want to mention that you will see with some pieces of the ginger, simply because I did allow some of that ginger to stay a little bit on the bigger side. So while this is what it looks like, it's nice and set. And next, as you can see, sorry, before you go ahead, there are bits and pieces of the ginger that I did mention earlier. And next, it's time to break it apart. Now, I did start it off by using my knife, but I was like, nah, I can simply just break it off. But anywho, this is what it looks like up close and personal. To a pot, we are going to add in our water. Next, we are going to go in with our spices. also add in the salt as well. So once we're adding all of the spices to our water, we are going to allow it to boil. Our water is boiling, we are next going to deal with the custard. So what I'm going to do is pour the custard into a bowl, and this extremely cold water, I'm going to pour that in as well. And this basically helps to lessen the amount of lumps that you will have in the snow ice. Alright, so that's the reason why we are using the extremely cold water to mix it first until it becomes a very smooth paste. So this is what it's looking like so far. This is what our custard mixture is looking like so far. As you can see, it's a smooth paste. So we will set that aside, and once the water is boiling, I will come back to show you. So as you can see here, our water is boiling. I will lower the heat because you don't want to create any lumps, and then you want to ensure that your custard is properly cooked. So I'm going to put the heat on low, which I did, and you would have realized that the boiling simmered down. Next, we are going to pour in our custard, and also you want to make sure that you have a spoon on hand. So as you pour in, you want to make sure that you stir so that no lumps is formed. What we're going to do here, as you can see, there's hardly any lumps. We're going to continue to stir this, and we will cook this for roughly 10 to 12 minutes thereabout. And after that time, I will come back to show you what it looks like. But you want to make sure that you constantly stir, as you do not want to get any lumps in your custard. 7 to 8 minutes. I know I did say 8 to 10 minutes a while ago, but around 7 to 8 minutes is perfect, and you want to make sure that you turn off your heat. So next we're going to go in with the sweetener, and of course you can use whole milk or milk and sweeten it with sugar. Any sweetener of choice is welcomed in this recipe, but we are using condensed milk. Condensed milk basically gives it a more creamier taste, look, and everything like that. All right, so I will continue to sweeten, and I will come back to show you the next step. And also, if you find that your custard is too thick, you can always add in just a little bit of water to help with that situation. Guys, I almost forgot to add in some vanilla extract, so we want to add in a couple teaspoons of that in there. So here is our custard, and it's all done. So I'm just going to remove the spices in there, which is the cinnamon and the bay leaf, and just rest them in something else because we don't want them in there. Now that we have removed the spices in there, we are next going to strain this out. So let's go. So I'm using this glass bowl, which is a big one, and of course the strainer, and we are going to pour this good stuff all in here and to basically drain down into the glass bowl. So far, so it's still very hot. What we are going to do is allow it to cool completely before we bag them and freeze them. Once that is done, once it's cool, that is, I will come back to show you the next step. So our custard mixture is now all cool. So here is one of the bags. This is the size that I am using, and I am just going to do a couple and come back to show you the rest. So I'm just using a big mug like this, and we are going to carefully pour in some of that custard noise in there for you. The next step. So let me do a couple more. Canadian custard snow ice looks like, as you can see. I have bagged them up, and next what we are going to do is to place them into the fridge so that they can be frozen, and that is what we call Grenadian snow ice. Thank you so much for watching today's video.